Welcome back to KnitPicks. I've got a kind of fun, goofy project. Hopefully it works out the way I want it to. So what I've got here are 12 different, but hopefully coordinating colors of yarn. This one I think is kind of the most oddball-y, the blue in here, but I've got some grays, purples, this pretty mustard, some greens, and my little blue. So this shawl, wrap, whatever, is going to be really simple. I'm just going to use moss stitch with some increases just for shape. But the fun part of it is that I'm not going to pick the colors, so I'm going to just use chance to pick the colors. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little swatch of each of my colors and I'm going to attach them to this card. I just used a hole puncher, obviously not very evenly, and write the name of the color. And so what you'll also need besides your colors, and if you don't have 12 or you don't want to get 12, you don't find 12 that you like, you can pick 9 or however many you want to get. I used Capra DK weight yarn. This is a merino cashmere mix. It's pretty soft and it's available in quite a few different colors. So you can use whatever yarn you'd like. If you want it to end up the same as mine, then I'm using a DK weight yarn. In addition to that, you're gonna need some dice. So my family are gamers. I am not a huge D&D fan, but I've got some in the family. So we happen to have some D&D dice. D&D Dungeons and Dragons, yes, uber nerdy. But I'm going to use these dice to make this shawl. So I'm going to take my D20, so it's a 20-sided dice, and a D12, so it's a 12-sided dice. And I'm choosing the 12 because I have 12 colors. If you had chosen 6 colors, you could use a regular die, or 8 colors. There's an 8-sided die. However many colors you choose, 10-sided die, whatever. I'm using a D12 and a D20 because that's what I've chosen. If you don't have these very unique and unusual dice, then you can just use a random number generator, but it's kind of more fun. So I'm gonna roll for my colors. So I'm gonna pause here for a second and get my little cheat sheet ready, and then I'll roll my first few rounds. So I've got my little cheat sheet here. I've made sure to put a little piece of each of the yarns because obviously I'm gonna take the labels off of them to actually use them, so to keep track of which ones are which. And I'm just going to give each of these a number. 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, so I've got 12 of these. I'm just going to have another paper. This is my little project notebook where I keep all my notes for all of my things. So I'm going to write down what I roll in this notebook so that I can work off of it. So you can roll as many steps ahead as you want to. I'm going to roll maybe the first 3 or 4 colors. So I'm going to roll both dice. So again, I've got one die that has the number of yarn colors I have, and the other one is a 20. So the 20 die is going to tell me how many rows I'm going to do of that color, and the other die is going to tell me which color to do. If you don't want to have big sections, you can use a smaller die here. So the biggest section of any one color I could get is 20 rows with this die, and the smallest is 1. So let's see what my first color is going to be. So my color is 2, and my number of rows is 14. If you didn't have these dice and you were using a random number generator, you would just do one generated number between 1 and 12 and 1 between 1 and 20, or however many you want your maximum rows to be. So my first color is going to be this Eclipse Heather, and so this is the list of all the color names I used. You can use whatever colors you want. Just make sure you keep track. I tend to like a lot of the heathery colors, so I use a lot of those, but you can use whatever you want. So my first roll is 2, 14 rows. All right, let's see what I get next. Oh, I forgot to say, if you ever roll the same color, you just re-roll. Because we don't want to have like 50 rows of the same. My goodness, I'm getting big rolls. Okay, color 7 is Forage, so this one. And I've got 19 rows. So everyone's shawl is going to come out looking completely different, even though we're all using the same pattern, and I think that's so fun. Okay. Color 12, 5 rows. Color 12 is Moral, so this nice like brown. Let's roll a couple more. color 6, 6 rows. So color 6 is the Lost Lake Heather, so another different green, and 6 rows. On my color palette, I ended up choosing a lot of greens and purples because they're complementary. They look really good together. So I have 3 different shades of green and 2 different shades of purple, then some grays, and then I threw in 1 bluish and a yellow and some browns. So you can use whatever you want. Now color 11, 6 rows. That is my pine cone heather, so a different brown, and 6 rows. I'm getting a lot of brown, but that's okay. It's still gonna be awesome. All right, let's do, I just want to keep rolling. Color 3 and 6 rows. So color 3 is Carbon, which is this little bit bluish gray. I'll do 1 more. That's my first 7 colors. All right, so I got color 3 and 6 rows. Oh, I just had the color 3. Let's roll again. Color 2 again and 1 row. All right, so what I got going on so far is I have this grayish, this dark gray, and then we go up to color 4. Where'd it go? I pulled up the wrong one earlier. Color 4 is this blue. And then we're going all the way to color 12, which is this moral. Color 6, which is this green. I'm loving it already. Color 11, which is the pine cone heather. And then color 3 is the carbon. Whoop. And then we'll go back to this gray for the next one. So these are my first 7 colors. Excited to see how this looks. I don't know, I thought I had rolled this, I pulled this green out, but I guess maybe I just wrote down wrong. It doesn't really matter, because it's all random. Totally random, except your color choices. So that's fun. Okay, so what is the actual pattern? So this one is free online, because like I said, it's really simple. It's just going to use moss stitch, but I will show you how to get started. Okay, so this is my first section. This gray is actually really kind of challenging to work with because it's so dark. So I'm going to film just to show you how to get started with a lighter color. So I'm using a size G crochet hook because it goes pretty well with the DK weight yarn. But I am gonna grab, let's see, maybe I'll grab, I've got some random pink. Pink's pretty easy to see. Okay, so I've got some pink yarn here. So to get started, the first row you're going to do a chain 6. Now single crochet in the 4th chain from your hook. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. I usually crochet into the back bump. It doesn't really matter too much on this one. So single crochet, chain 1, skip 1 stitch, and then single crochet in the next stitch. So I've got 2 single crochets that I did and this poofy turn chain. Now for the next row, I'm going to chain 2 and turn. And if you look here, so these are my 2 chains. First one, second one. I'm gonna get something pokier. So this is my first chain, this is my second chain. This is the top of the single crochet, and the chain 1 space is right here. So when you turn around, this is the space you're going to end up working into, right here. So let's turn it around. So again, it's just easier to see from the other side. So 1 chain, 2 chain, top of the single crochet, chain 1. So this is my chain 1 space right here, right below that chain 1. So I'm going to do a single crochet into that chain space. Chain 1. I'm going to skip the single crochet and that blobby turn chain from the beginning. I'm going to do a single crochet into that chain space. I'm trying to kind of stretch it out so you can see it a little bit better. There it is. So there's my chain space. So instead of just doing 1 single crochet though, I'm always going to increase on this side of the project. So you can see here that I'm getting bigger. So this side I'm not increasing, this side I'm increasing every row. So here I'm going to do a single crochet, chain 1, single crochet in the same space. So that's the end of row 2, and you can tell, so I just did 3 single crochets plus the turn chain, so there's 3 single crochets. I'm on row 2. Your row count is always 1 less than the number of single crochets you make until you stop increasing. Okay, so row 3, we'll chain 2 and turn. Now, excuse me, this is the side that I'm increasing on, so here I'm still going to work into the chain space. So again, we have 1, 2 for our turn chain, 1 for the top of the single crochet, and then the chain space is right here. You can see these 2 bars coming up. Those are for 1 stitch, 1 single crochet, and these 2 are for the next one, so you're going to go right in between them. And if you look on the front, you should have the 2 bars for the single crochet on each side of that space. So you're working right into that chain space. I'm going to do a single crochet, chain 1, and then I'm going to do that again in the same space because I'm increasing on this side of the project. So all of my odd number rows I'm going to increase first and then keep going, and all of my even numbered rows I'm going to increase at the end of the row. Now so I did a single crochet, chain 1, I'm going to skip the single crochet in the chain 1 space, chain 1, and single crochet in the turn chain. Boop, boop. So you're kind of getting the pattern established now. So I'll chain 2. I'm always going to chain 2 to turn. And now this is not the side I'm increasing on, so I'm just going to find that chain 1 space, single crochet, chain 1, skip the single crochet, work in the chain space, single crochet, chain 1, skip the single crochet. So here I have 2 single crochets in the same space, but there is still a chain 1 space in between them in here. So I'm going to do a single crochet, chain 1, and now in my turn chain I'm still going to do my increase. So single crochet, chain 1, single crochet. So I'm still increasing on this side. And now the next row we'll chain 2 and turn. And if you had rolled to only do 2 rows, you would have changed colors already. So you're changing colors based on your die roll or your random number generator. If you want to make one exactly like mine, I will put the row counts I used, but you can totally make it your own. Okay, so this is my increase side. So I'm going to do single crochet, chain 1, single crochet, without splitting my yarn, chain 1. And now I'm just going to work across in all the chain 1 spaces, single crochet, chain 1, single crochet, chain 1, single crochet, chain 1, and 1 single crochet in the turn chain space. So that is how you get started. It's really kind of simple once you get going, and it's easier to see the pattern of the moss stitches to work into those chain spaces after the first couple rows. So the first couple rows are a little finicky, but once you get started, it really kind of takes off. So I'm excited to work on this one. This increase pattern, you're going to keep doing it until your scarf or shawl or whatever you want to call it is the width that you want, and then you'll just stop increasing, and I'll explain that later. So yep, I'm excited. I've got my first 7 colors, color 1 already done. So I'm going to move on to color 2 here, and then I'll stop back in and roll some more colors here in a little while. All right, so now I've finished the first 7 colors. So you can see what it looks like so far. And now I'm going to keep doing the same increase until it's the width I want. And the width I'm thinking about is from the neck edge to this corner. So I'm going to do a few more rows before I do my decreases. So we're going to end up with kind of like a zigzaggy corner on this outside edge. But I'm going to do a few more rows first. So we need to pick some more colors. Let me get my book here. Okay. Color 5 for 3 rows. Color 4 for 19 rows. Goodness. Color 7 for 3 rows. Color 2 for 5 rows. Oh, I just had color 2. Let's re-roll. color 3 for 15 rows. Color 7 for 2 rows. Let's do one more. And color 9 for 15 rows. All right, so these are my colors for the next 7 sections. This color, also is going to go in right here because I rolled 7 twice. So I think that's going to look pretty cool. I'm going to go work on this. If I get to the point where I'm going to start doing my little zigzag zigzag and stop increasing, I will film that so I can show you how to do that. Otherwise, I will come back and show you some progress in a bit. All right, so now I've done about 70 rows. I'm in the middle of this blue section, and sorry, my kitty's trying to get some attention. You can probably hear her purring. Anyway, she's a good girl. So I have decided that this is as wide as I want it to be, and so I'm gonna do the decrease. So this edge is gonna end up being kind of jagged as you go along from this point. So this side is the increase side, and you can decide to do this whenever you want, and you can make these kind of pointy bits as long as you want, or as wide as you want. So you do that, you change that by adjusting how many stitches you go down. So I am going to stop 10 single crochets earlier than I normally would. So on the increase side, I'm going to do this part exactly the same as I have been. So I'm not going to change anything here. So I already did the single chain. So I'm still going to do single crochet, chain 1, single crochet, chain 1 in the same space. So I'm still doing an increase on this side. And now I'm going to do my moss stitch all the way across until I get close to the end, and then I will count back from the edge however big I want that point to be. Now I've decided that I'm going to make each point the same size no matter where I am on the color pattern. You could instead make each point a different size based on how many rows of each color you're doing, so that each color has its own point. I think it's easier just to make them every 10. So we'll see how it looks. Maybe I will like it this way. Maybe I will wish I did it the other way. I don't really know. It's hard to say. I also am not sure if I'm going to have enough of this color to finish all 19 rows of this section. I rolled 19 rows for this color twice, so I've used up quite a bit of it. But that's okay. I'm still enjoying how my little scarfy looks. So I'm not sad about it. And if you do, And if you do find that you run out of a color, then I guess that's how many rows of that color you got, and just move on. And then if you roll that number again for that color, just skip it or re-roll. And I'm sure it will end up awesome. So looking at the end, normally I would have my last stitch right here in the very edge. So I'm going to count 10 spaces back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So my last stitch is going to be here in this spot. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 more. Okay, so however many spaces back you go, that's how many increase rows you're going to do before you do your next decrease. You're always going to do your decrease this way, and your increase row is always going to be increasing on this side. Sorry, you're always going to increase on this side, and you're always going to decrease by just not doing the last 10 stitches or however big you decide to make that section. So from here, I'm just going to turn and work back along the row. All right, I finished those last rows, and I've got to say I'm super loving it, but I'm actually almost wishing that I had used a smaller number die than the D20 just so I got more colors, because I am probably only going to do 40 or 50 more rows. So with a scarf, I usually aim for about the length of my wingspan, maybe plus a little bit. I'm 5'9", so I go for about 6 feet long. And so I'm only gonna have room for another 40 or 50 rows. But I'm super loving it so far, and it looks really cool when I try it on my little mannequin. So excited to see. I'm now completely out of two colors. I'm out of this blue color and I'm out of this steely gray color. I'm actually really stoked that this green ended up being in two little sections there, just to kind of split up the color and give a little brightness. So, and you can see here, this is what my edges are looking like. I will block this out after I weave in my ends, but you can see that I'm not worrying about where the colors end up on the stripes here. I'm just kind of going every 10 rows. I'll make another little V. But now it's time to roll for some more color. All right, so I've got my dice, got my guide, got my notebook saying what I'm doing. All right, so I've got 15 rows of color 6. Goodness gracious. Okay. Well, I'm out of color 4, so I'm going to re-roll that. I'm out of 3 and 4. I'm out of 3. I guess I could just re-roll the color die. Color 6 for 7 rows. Oh, I just did color 6. Goodness gracious. Okay, color 9 for 11 rows. That's a lot of purple since I just did purple, but okay. Color 4 for 9 rows. Oh, I'm out of 4. Goodness, I'm rolling a lot of 3s and 4s. Color 1 for 10 rows. That's the first time I've gotten color 1. Color 3 for 3 rows. Oh, I'm out of 3. Color 5 for 6 rows. Color 6 for 5 rows. I'm going to roll a couple more. I'm already at 36. Yeah, I'm already at almost 50 rows, but I'm going to roll a couple more just in case I feel like going a little longer. Color 11 for 12 rows. Color 7 for 4 rows. And color 8 for 13. Okay, so I don't know why I just want to keep rolling. I'm going to stop this at whatever point I feel like it's done, and we'll see what that is. I think it's interesting that I never rolled a 10, so my my bright yellow color never got used, which kind of makes me sad, but that's okay. I also won't get to use this 8 color unless I get all the way down to my extra rolls, so that's okay. It's still gonna, like, if you just ignore that yellow and ignore that purple, it makes it a lot darker of a palette, right? But that's kind of just what I came up with. It's what you get when you play a game of chance. Okay, so I'm going to go work on this some more, and I will show you the finished product when it's all done.